I sort of position myself as a dopamine business builder. So anything that stimulates dopamine for me is a win. It is phenomenal for business because it gives you a huge amount of motivation, attracts a lot of opportunities to you. Because when you're in that amazing zone, that amazing flow, some people call it, and your energy is very high, people want to be around that. So in the business world, there's ways that we can artificially but healthily influence the biochemistry of our body to set ourselves up for success in the business world. And not many people really understand that connection. But when you think about it further and deeper, it's obvious that the more energy you have, the healthier you are, the better the mindset, the longer you can put into your business day.
Business Money Podcast. Business Money Podcast. Fearless. Business Money Podcast. Fearless. Business Money Podcast.
Welcome to the Business Money Podcast, where intelligent financing meets strategic thinking. And why do we have to focus on strategic thinking? Your mindset in regards to joint ventures, in regards to deals. And today we have an expert in this field. He's going to expand a lot on that, and he's a coach. He's going to guide us through that. Nathan Baws, he's with us today. Nathan, how are you?
Good, mate. Thank you very much for having me. How are you?
I mean, first of all, let's start with, I love your accent. Tell us where you're at. So
Western Australia, so over the west side of Australia in Perth, and kind of a long way away from the action, I believe, which is kind of good, particularly now with what's going on in the world out there. We're quite blessed to be here and isolated. Generally, it's not something we want to do, but at this particular time of evolution, yes, happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're good, and we connect with a lot of entrepreneurs, again, professionals, coaches all over the world. I mean, Europe, you name it. And we need to, of course, be international, because we're doing business worldwide. I mean, I think we discussed this before. We speak with a lot of course, in the Western Hemisphere, we speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners right here, within, North America, Central America, South America. But we want to dive into really who you are and what you do. And I just want to give a brief introduction so everybody kind of understands, really the realm of your capacities, Nathan, if you don't mind. So Nathan Baws is a serial entrepreneur, business growth fanatic, and author and keynote speaker with over 4 decades of lived experience in building, scaling, rebuilding businesses across multiple industries. And Nathan has launched and grown more than 19 business ventures. That's very interesting. So many achieving 7 figures and turnovers, and driven by unconventional results, focus, approach to growth, mindset, and performance. So I think that you are a serial entrepreneur, a serial turnaround investor. I want to dive into your brain, and I want to understand kind of like your logic in doing all this, Nathan. Tell me, how did you start it in this? If you can kind of give us a picture.
I would love to understand the logic in my brain too sometimes. So you and I will both interview myself and find out what's going on up there. But look, the reality is I love business. I absolutely love business, and it's so much fun. And I spend all of my life doing it 7 days a week. And when I'm not doing it, I'm talking about it and collaborating with lots of different partners and just having fun, since a very young age, where I realized you can make $1 out of pretty much anything you set your mind to. It was pretty cool, particularly growing up where there wasn't too many of those dollars around, and being able to actually influence that process of creating income was very, very exciting to me. I thought it was amazing. So that's the start that I had when I was about 6 years old, actually, when I first started in the business world.
Well, so Nathan, and you, again, we know that you're a keynote speaker. You travel, of course, all over the world, and you give speeches and launch into these 19 businesses. I'm really interested. By the way, you appear on Shark Tank Australia.
Yeah.
That is something. Tell us a little bit about that. And what can the audience know about that experience, if you don't mind, if we can ask you about it?
Yeah, Shark Tank was fantastic. It was a really good means of marketing. I mean, people go on to Shark Tank for one of 2 reasons. One is to market your product and get some amazing exposure. And the other is obviously to get investment. And the main reason we went into it was the amazing exposure that it gave us. So this was quite a few years ago, and it was when there wasn't quite so much social media around. So TV was the main channel of exposure. So getting on the TV, and every time Shark Tank did a rerun, I was on there for my restaurant. At that stage, I had one restaurant, and then I built it to three. But every time they did a rerun of the program, our restaurants would fill up, and it was absolutely fantastic. So we kind of put that down to about $100,000 worth of free marketing that we were able to achieve. So that was a big win. Really, really useful.
So tell us, were they brutal with you or were they fair? Tell us
Yeah,
about that.
we were very lucky because they can either make it look like absolute imbeciles or they can bring you out okay. For whatever reason, they chose to give us a reasonable cut. And it's quite funny when you look back on it and we look at the responses and the reactions and what we said when we were asked different questions. I mean, they have obviously the poetic right to cut and paste sections from anything, anywhere, and put it all together and create something completely different to what actually went down. But that's TV for you. And thankfully, as I say, they gave us a lovely edit. So we came out looking okay rather than being crucified, because so you film for about 45 minutes and then they cut and paste about 9 minutes in total out of that. So they've got a lot to choose from, a lot of juicy bits, a lot of bits where they actually really got stuck into us that they didn't show. And I mean, equally, that same night that we did the filming, there was people that they decided to take all those juicy, nasty bits out and show those. I guess it's the luck of the draw and how they position you. It's all fun, all fun.
I can imagine it was fun. But Nathan, tell us a little bit about, you co-author books with Tony Robbins, and you set a nice bath Guinness World Record. I mean, I want to ask you about that as well. So tell me, how did that go in your head? Is like, hey, today what I want to do is break
Wake
this
up and set a Guinness
record.
book. Yeah. Look, that actually all ties in with business. So everything I do in my day and my recreational life, which actually there's not a lot, it's more business focused, but everything that I do, including the ice baths that I was involved in for the Guinness Book of World Record, that's all business related. So everything is all about, I mean, ice baths are phenomenal for dopamine creation. And dopamine is an amazing endocrine hormone, a neurotransmitter in your brain that is phenomenal for making you feel good. And it's the reward drug that your body produces when you do something useful. I sort of position myself as a dopamine business builder. So anything that stimulates dopamine for me is a win. Healthy dopamine. There's good and bad production of dopamine, and healthy and not so healthy types or ways of stimulating dopamine. But when you do stimulate it, like ice baths can, it is phenomenal for business because it gives you a huge amount of motivation, keeps you going, it keeps you very persistent, which is what you have to have when you're in business because it's a long road, it's a big journey, it's not a short sprint. And dopamine is the reward chemical that your body produces to keep you sustain you and to keep you motivated and keep you moving forwards. And it opens up clarity, mental clarity. It attracts a lot of opportunities to you. Because when you're in that amazing zone, that amazing flow, some people call it, and your energy is very high, people want to be around that. They don't want to be around people who are half dead and, full of negativity. So in the business world, it's everything that I do is to try and improve that dopamine creation and have it, but as basically a biochemical hack. And that's also what I love to focus on. And I think more business people should focus on it. Understanding that the body, to get the most out of your body through not only the mindset, hence the interaction with Tony Robbins, and he's just the absolute guru for that side of things. He's phenomenal, but also our biochemistry of our body. And there's ways that we can artificially but healthily influence the biochemistry of our body to set ourselves up for success in the business world. And not many people really understand that connection. But when you think about it further and deeper, it's obvious that the more energy you have, the healthier you are, the better the mindset, the longer you can put into your business day, the more sustained you're going to be, the least risk of burnout, which so many people go through, particularly as the solo entrepreneurs when they're just doing it all themselves, and they hold all the weight of the business and go through all the stress on their own. So all these fantastic tools that you can focus on, like the dopamine, like the biochemical balancing within your body, these things are fantastic for business. So why not use every single tool that are at our fingertips and at our disposal to improve chances of success?
Well, I think it's necessary. I think you can function in a lethargic way without having a good, let's say, dopamine building system, which is something that you specialize in coaching and guiding entrepreneurs and high performance business people. Now, if all of us are here listening to you right now, and we're connected to the podcast, and we say, okay, I wanna really feel better, and I wanna really build on what Nathan has in his system.
Bunch of things that I love to do. I guess the foundation, the fundamental building block of that is doing something you absolutely love. So it's kind of an obvious thing, but if you hate doing what you're doing, then there's a lot of negativity that's going to go with that. There's no chance of being happy. You're not going to be fulfilled. So finding something you absolutely love and passionate about is essential. So even if you've got a job, having a side stream of income that in a zone that you really, really enjoy is a great starting point. Then there's things that you can do throughout the day to stimulate more dopamine and get you in a really good zone, good mood. So things like I'll start my day every day where I can with a trip down to the beach, jump in the ocean, and have a good wake up. And that can be in the middle of a storm, doesn't really matter, throughout winter, throughout summer. In fact, there's a few of us that do it on a very regular basis, and in the middle of winter at 0 degrees, we're the only crazy people out there, but that's the time that we really love. That's the time where you go, wow, this is challenging. I'm freezing my backside off, but I'm feeling phenomenal. I'm feeling absolutely amazing. 'Cause you realize, I mean, there's real dopamine being produced at that stage when you're out on the beach, it's pouring with rain, it's freezing cold, you're freezing your feet on the sand, and you realize you're the only crazy moron out there to everyone else is safe and warm in bed. But that dopamine that you get from that sense of achievement is phenomenal, and that sets you up for the day. So that's a really, really big starting point, and it's a good anchor. Tony Robbins always talks about, with his NLP, neuro linguistic programming, he always talks about anchoring to something that a good event that can get you back into that zone, into that healthy, positive state. So that's that's something I just absolutely love and wouldn't replace, is those mornings. So that's one thing. Then the next things are things like eating well, eating healthy. I do a very high protein, low carb, high fat, healthy fat diet, basically a ketogenic diet. And I'm actually setting up a few weight loss programs in hotels in Bali at the moment, doing that, offering that weight loss as a program. And that's something I've been involved in for many years. And it's a fantastic way of keeping your sugar levels under control. And that also helps change the biochemistry of the body to enhance all those dopamine like outcomes, better mental clarity, more energy, more stability in your moods. Mind you, my wife may not totally agree with that one, but you know, that's another question. So eating well, exercise is phenomenal. So endurance kind of exercises are really useful for dopamine. So, a decent run, a really good walk, anything that stimulates basically your opium-like neurotransmitters. These are the chemicals that kill pain when you're going for endurance, and that's a really big part of feeling really good, but naturally and in a healthy manner. So they're probably some of the main things that people can do to implement that dopamine production.
Well, that is great, because a lot of times we think that our businesses are disconnected from us and from our energy, from our health. And we continually discuss this with entrepreneurs when it comes to, let's say, stages of growth. If we're putting them into mergers, acquisitions, turnarounds, or we're just expanding them through franchising. I explain to the clients, I'm like, look, this is going to require basically a lot from you and a lot of traveling. You're not going to be now an operator. You're now going to be the champion of the brand all over the United States, championing your brand, championing your product, because you are giving a system to someone for them to be able to continue. But it requires a lot of energy, a lot of long hours, a lot of expos. You're going to be, we talk about talking to people. I mean, and I think you mentioned with Tony Robbins, we've been in those events. Dan Graziosi, like a couple of bras from me, and we are with 3,000, 4,000 people in one room. So you're exposed to everybody's germs, everybody's sweat, everything. I mean, like we talk about that. Well, you have to have good health, right? So it starts with you to be able to do these things. But I want to ask you about the business growth diet. I thought that was very interesting, and I hope you don't mind if we kind of jump a little bit on your capabilities.
The keto side of things. So ketogenic diet is, as I mentioned, is high protein, high fat, low carbs. And it's about switching your body's fuel source away from the usual, it's called dirty fuel, like sugar. Sugar is a very toxic, very dirty fuel that our bodies runs on, and it causes so much disease. There's so many links now with sugar and diabetes, obviously, and cancer and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and heart disease. There's so much research now in all these fields. So we understand sugar is a big issue. In Australia, on average, the average person eats about 13 or 14 teaspoons of sugar every day. In America, it's more closer to the 30, 34 teaspoons, ridiculous amounts. So what can we expect from that is a lot of fatigue, a lot of disease, and a lot of brain fog. So the business diet, again, everything that I do, I have a very close link to business. So if it's improving my health, yes, that comes with a lot of awesome side effects of improving my actual health. But one of the main reasons I'll do it and eat healthy and eat a very disciplined diet. I mean, I haven't eaten sugar for probably since I was 8 years old, which is a day or two now ago, which is when I gave up lollies and chocolates and alcohol. Probably wouldn't have had a drink for about maybe eight years or so, and not much before that. But it's all business related. So we all have to have a purpose, right? So we all know this sort of food is crap and it has a toxic effect on our bodies. But what is the link? What are you going to anchor that to enable you to get rid of it long term? And for me, everything is linked to business. So I say to myself, great, look, if I can give up these rubbishy foods, and I've been in ketosis for about 5 years, which is where you get rid of the sugar and you break the body fat down, use that for fuel instead. And so what is it that's going to give you sustainable, consistent results that's going to keep you motivated to stick to that diet for that long? And for me, it's business. I am obsessed with business. I love doing it. I do it 7 days a week. And any little edge, as I was mentioning before, any little benefit, little step up that we can get from different aspects of our life, I love to bring that in and say, all right, I'm going to get more energy for my day. I'm going to get better mental clarity. And I can do that by looking after my diet, from being disciplined and being strict on my diet. So that's the way I've sustained it. Sorry.
Well, no worries, Nathan. You're a systems builder for your businesses. We discuss, especially with business owners, it's great. We love the build out, but you have to think about the exit as well. Because I can tell you that I have stories, sad stories, horror stories, where people, they don't build systems in their business, in their personal life. And I think this is a system builder type of mindset that you have with your health that allows you to be a high performance individual, mentally and physically, to be able to continue to run these businesses in an optimal way. And even if we don't get out of the business, we got to look at it on the exit, so we can basically kind of build the timelines and the processes.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The SOPs, standard operating procedures, are huge, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, creating the systems and processes. And I think it just makes life so much easier for business. So whatever business you're in, I think it's one of the keys that everyone should focus on to transition, particularly from working in the business to working on the business. So I think building those standard operating procedures, the checklists, what needs to be done every single day, particularly if you've got team members involved and you want to scale your business, the SOPs are absolutely essential. One of the things that we focus on, I've built a business several years ago that's involved in bookkeeping. We just do bookkeeping for the US and for Australia clients, and particularly business people. And the big twist, everything has to have a special offer. In any of my businesses, we always have to have something that differentiates us, a USP, unique selling proposition. So for that, it's all about SOPs. So when we work with small businesses, business owners, it's really, really important that we create SOPs for running their bookkeeping, because it's a first standard process of stacking up the processes that are involved in making sure their financial world is taken care of. And then we hope that that gets expanded into their actual business day as well. So they're creating checklists and procedures for operations. And what I say to everyone that comes in as a client is, look, we will build you an SOP. So everything that our bookkeeping team does for your business, we will set up and we'll identify every single task. We'll build it into a 12-month calendar, because if you decide a year down the track that you don't like the smell of our aftershave and you want to go and hang out with another bookkeeping company, you've got the most amazing process and book and procedure that you can just take it and run. I think the more value like that you can give to clients, the more they'll want to stick with you, because there's no fear, there's no holding you back. You're just giving out absolute value. But that SOP can be translated to anyone. That can just be given over to anyone to run your business, to do your bookkeeping, as it can be with staff. When you have staff turnover, you can just give them that checklist and say, this is my expectations. This is in black and white exactly what you need to do. If you do this, we will love each other forever and ever, and we will have a great relationship. And there's no gray. It's all super clear here.
Well, I think, you touch a good point, because that's where collaborating with a business owner in the case of bookkeeping. And also, well, you give them basically a standard that they can compare you with anybody else if they decide to leave. Now, Nathan, I want to bring it all back. If they're looking at this podcast and they're right now listening to everything we're talking about, what are the metrics that you can really tweak and better of your business with the help, of course, of a coach like Nathan Baws? What will be the call to action right now that you can tell the audience? Where can they contact you? Where can they know more about you?
Sure. Yeah. Welcome to Connect. My main focus has been building businesses for many years. Now I'm sort of getting into just working with partners, just partnering people around the world and building some cool stuff together. So if you've got any of those we do a lot of joint ventures and a lot of collaborations, and bring skill sets, collaborate with different skills and bring them together and make an amazing concept out of it. My website, nathanbaws.com, and LinkedIn, feel free to reach out to Nathan Baws, either of those. And we have a little get together once a month. It's a completely free thing. If you've got business challenges, you're welcome to join that. And we love talking business. We love helping people find solutions to their problems and grow businesses. That's a big part of what excites us. That's a big part of what brings our dopamine levels up every day. So welcome to come and hang out.
Nathan, thank you so much. I look forward to see you in the next podcast.
Likewise. Thank you, Andres.